Hello, welcome to the Special Report, your news and views program about geek gaming culture on the internet. Coming up in the show today, a bit more of the fallout from the JonTron being kicked off of Yooka-Laylee situation, as now Playtonic is deciding to play hardball with banning people from the Steam forums because they are asking for a refund because of the fallout from what they have done. Yeah, this is not going to go over well, but we're going to talk a lot about what is going on here. My name is JD Shadow. The Special Report will start right about now. It seems that the fallout from Playtonic Games removing the one line that YouTuber Jon Jafari, better known as JonTron, had provided for the game on the back of his recent Twitch stream / podcast that he did with Omni Destiny is making a lot of people wanting a refund of their Kickstarter donation from Playtonic. However, Playtonic or whatever the hell it is deciding they want to play a little bit of hardball, as we had said in the intro. One particular community manager on the Team 17, the publisher of Yooka-Laylee, which Twitter handle is Jono Vanguard, tweeted this out: "So many angry anime avatars." Now, what is he talking about? Well, he is talking about the many people that he has banned and seemingly mocking them. What are they asking for? Refunds. Apparently, they are not allowed to ask for refunds because a lot of people are doing so on the backs of what has been going on with the JonTron situation. The project's Kickstarter page is now flooded with people who are asking for their $24 or whatever it is back. Even those people who had contributed a good bit of money to the Kickstarter project is now saying that they wish to not fund the project because they have injected their own politics into the decision making, regardless of whether or not they feel as though the opinions that were given by the person in question are not those they would side with, saying that while Playtonic has every right in order to do what they want with their game, they have every right, and rightfully so, to react to that particular decision with whatever they want to be able to do, as long as it is lawful, and this is a way to do it. Now, this is getting even more interesting when you take into account who could have been responsible for adding the pressure on Playtonic in order to do this. Guess what forum decided they were going to make a stand on this? NeoGAF. In a particular forum post, they had stated that they were going to attempt to get JonTron removed from the game, with one person even stating, quote, "I've asked a bunch of them, Chris Suth, Andy Robertson, Mark Stevenson, Playtonic Games, on Twitter for their comment. Let's see if they reply." This, along with the notion that they are now banning people on the Steam forums and seemingly blocking anybody who dares to call them out on Twitter and sending their personal accounts to private, could probably state that there is something more going on here. Either that or they just don't want to be bothered by the controversy. I would seemingly think it's going to be the former here, seemingly as how they have dropped the ball here. And to be quite honest with you, I think they have done just that. Let's not get into what JonTron said. Let's not get into that. Let's take everything else out of the whole idea as to the controversy surrounding JonTron or what he said on the Destiny show or whatever it was called. Let's take away everything else about this controversy that's going on. The fact that Playtonic is lambasting people for asking for refunds in any sort of way, for any bit of context, in any form of context, is anti-consumer, period. And for them to act like this on the back of something that has a bunch of sensitive feelings to a bunch of different people who are sensitive to these kinds of topics, this is going to go on to dangerous ground. Steam has a policy in place in which it is possible for somebody to do this in a legal sense, as long as you have not played it for more than 2 hours, and as long as you get your refund request in by 2 weeks, you are allowed to get a refund, period. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Now, And if this particular Kickstarter in any sort of way rewarded people who funded the project by a free copy of the game, then you have the right, Playtonic, in any context, to, as a business that would want to abide by the standards and the rules that Steam has put in place, that Valve has put in place. Let's not talk about Greenlight or whatever they're doing to curate these platforms in any sort of way, and that's a whole different topic for a whole different day. If you are going to be like this to your consumers, the people who are going to buy your game, who are potentially going to buy your game and have concerns in the very least about how you're going about your business about this particular topic or any sort of topic, then you deserve what you are getting, period. You deserve this. You deserve the backlash. You deserve any sort of backlash you get. It has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with the notion that somebody said something controversial. And we'll get to that, of course, we'll get to that. But the fact of the matter is that you have the obligation to your consumers, the people who are buying your product, to not only put out a product who is working, that people are going to enjoy, but that if somebody has something wrong or they feel that they have been jaded by you in any sort of way, that they are entitled to a refund per the Steam rules. And that's all there is to it. If you're going to deny them those rules, if you are going to ban people from your forums, and I've said before, this was a horrible idea for Steam to do, to give developers exclusive rights to do whatever they want to do with their forums, to ban anybody they want from their forums without Steam getting into the process, which they probably have to do here. If we know what No Man's Sky has done, if we know what some of these other developers, like the ones who created Mighty Number 9, have done. This is a concept that's not new. This is something that people have done. And for Steam to just not understand that this is something you have to get in the middle of here, that is something that maybe you have to look into. Now, Steam has also smacked down a couple people before. They have kind of been not having it with some of these developers who have tried to do stuff like this. We have seen what has happened with people like Digital Homicide. We have seen stuff like that. And if you're really going to attempt to play hardball with these consumers who just want answers, that's all they really want is answers, and perhaps some reversal to what you have done, because maybe they don't really care about these politics. Maybe they don't really give a crap about this kind of stuff. They just want to play a game. That's all they really want to do, is to play a game. And this is an escape from that sort of thing. And for you to not only interject these kinds of politics into the game, not only interject these types of things into the discussion and try to divide gamers regardless of where they sit on these sort of issues, is only dividing us even further. And maybe that's what you want. Maybe that's what these people want to do, is to try to make a wedge, try to draw a wedge, try to drive a wedge. Maybe I'm getting the adjectives wrong here. Into gamers, to try to make it into a problem which they feel they can fix. This is a problem they are creating. No gamer has created this problem. These are the people who are claiming that gamers were somehow not diverse to begin with. Well, at least the majority. There are those types of idiots who don't know how to behave, but the majority of gamers, the one that you should actually pay attention to, are in fact not only diverse but are kind. They have been known as outcasts up until this point, where now it's kind of mainstream and now you want to get your slice of the pie here. So regardless of what you think about this JonTron situation, regardless, this is not the way to go about it. And for not only a community manager to go and ban everybody who is asking for a refund, regardless of why you're asking for a refund, but to then mock them the way he does so, these guys need to be fired for what they are doing there. If you don't even think about reversing your decision, and there's a change.org petition in order to reinstate JonTron's one line back into the game. What I've heard, it was just one line, 1 or 2 lines at most. But to him, to mock these people, that is so out there and so not necessary. That is just going to drive people further into this abyss that you seemingly wanting to go into. And with that having been said, let me get into more of what JonTron actually said. Now, again, I have not listened to the entirety of the 2-hour Twitch stream that was done. But seemingly, as we now have an idea of where Playtonic's mindset was when they made this decision, not only were they pressured, but not only did they bow to the pressure, but they felt entitled to bow down to the pressure. NeoGAF is known to be very toxic anymore. Now, I understand that there are people on both ends of the political spectrum that don't understand how to act or think that it is within their right to ruin people's lives and to forever hold a black cloud over somebody's head if they make a mistake. If they make one simple mistake, which JonTron had done, that is enough for him to forever be judged and ridiculed. Even if he changes his viewpoint, even if he changes his ways, that you are always going to hold that against him. That goes into what I said the last special report about we need to have a little bit of forgiveness in us, which we kind of have lost. We kind of lost our humanity within the past couple of years or so due to these kinds of issues. We were able to discuss these kinds of issues with some kind of civility. Where did that go? Where did that go? Did it go with the extremists in the right wing, where their only recourse was to ban anything that had any sort of diversity rule set to allow gays and lesbians to just have a life without fear of being ridiculed, without the fear of being judged for who they were? Is that what birthed this kind of sentiment, in which the only way you have to counter that is to destroy people's lives if they say one word against what you believe is a diverse opinion? Although I did not listen to the entirety of the 2-hour podcast, and I'm not going to judge what he actually said before I go and watch that or review that, let me tell people about what I have heard about not only the Twitch stream in of itself, but the person that had conducted it, the person that had hosted it. First things first, it is unsure as to whether or not JonTron just misspoke on the one viewpoint that is being the most publicized of all of these viewpoints, which is that rich black men are more likely to commit crimes than poor white people. There is some question as to whether or not he just misspoke and he just didn't speak in a way that made it clear about what he was actually trying to say. And believe me, I do want to do more research about what exactly he actually said and if this is true or not, but according to what I have been told, the viewpoint that he was trying to make was that rich black men are more likely to be committed of a crime and go to jail than a poor white person. And though that is not a entirely perfect sentiment to have either, it is based upon a survey which I would love to get more information about. However, it is unclear as to whether or not he just misspoke or if there was something that he saw in there that he didn't really understand. The bottom line is that he has had some issues with debating people in the past, as well as him having some past run-ins with people who were having an axe to grind against anybody who would dare call him out on what they have done. Case in point, what happened in 2014. And anybody who has followed gaming news within the past 5 years could probably figure out where I'm going with that one. I'm not going to get into details because people will lose their minds if I get into them. But there is being some speculation as to perhaps that was a particular reason why they were targeting JonTron and they were waiting for him to make a mistake. And this is probably a big mistake by actually doing a debate about this at all. Because for one thing, the person that he debated in this particular scenario is talked about to be not a very nice person. In a couple of other debates that he has had, one with Sargon of Akkad, it is well known by now that they are in a little bit of a battle because Destiny decided to do a DMCA against one of Sargon's videos in which he apparently did an edit in which Destiny claimed that Sargon did not represent his views correctly. But there have been reports reports in which have claimed that Destiny perhaps baited JonTron into saying something that he was not ready to combat. In other words, a bit of a debate trap to trap people into saying something that they did not actually want to say, or have a viewpoint that they did not actually have, and just felt that that was the best way to counter a point that somebody had made. It is well known that Destiny has been a pro at debating these things for a good long time, and it is thought of that perhaps he knows how to bait somebody into a trap, in which no matter how you counter it is going to sound bad, and this is probably what JonTron was not ready for, and he has gone and admitted as such. But it is debatable as to whether or not Destiny himself was a problem here, and perhaps the DMCA issues, where's the fair use in all of this? Again, YouTube. Maybe he should ease up a little bit about the DMCAs. It is good that he came to JonTron's defense on the back of what had happened on Playtonic's situation. And let's of course get to NeoGAF, because yeah, this has been known to have their fair share of issues lately, and the more I hear about how extremist they're getting, the worse it gets. It seems as though everybody is on the same side when you go into NeoGAF, and that's no mistake. It is easy to say that, hey, everybody on NeoGAF is on the same side when they ban anybody who has even the slightest hint of a different opinion. You have people who bait other people they don't like into doing something that will get them banned, and they don't think twice about it. You have administrators who use their own political beliefs in order to administrate the forums. You have the owner of the forums, Talamalka, who has been accused of very abhorrent things. And I'm not going to get into them because that's going to go down a little bit more of a rabbit hole. I've had my own issues with them. Boogie has even been perma-banned from that site because he asked for a calm about certain things, and then when they banned him, they tried to say that later on that they banned him because he was too suicidal, when anybody who had followed what he was talking about, who had known what he was trying to do, would tell you 10 times different from what NeoGAF was trying to say. This community has become as toxic as it can get, and they don't give a shit. They don't care how toxic they're getting. They don't see it. They don't care. And they have no reason to be this toxic. They have no reason to shut down any form of discussion, any form of moderate discussion. These people don't want moderate discussion on their forums. And yeah, I know, they have every right to run their forums as they want to, but when you have actual developers who are going on to these forums in order to gauge what the public thinks, and you have people who are shutting down anybody who would dare to actually get a moderate discussion going, and to actually have a different perspective on things, even if they're not completely on the different side of the fence here, you give developers the wrong sense of what goes on. No wonder when Playtonic decided to make the decision, they were shocked and appalled by the amount of people saying, oh, I want a refund, because the majority of those people who wanted a refund know about how NeoGAF has been ran lately. It has been ran by administrators who let their personal beliefs get in the way of administrating a forum, which a lot of people go for news and information about how the public sees gaming. And yes, we want diversity. Yes, we want more female empowerment in video games, but not at this cost. Not at the cost of things getting so toxic and so unbelievably vitriolic like this. You can have a reasonable course of discussion. The Escapist has done that. The Escapist has been able to have a good discussion, to have a moderate discussion. And you know what? They have benefited as a direct result of that. And if this is what Playtonic based their decision around, then they are people who should be ashamed of themselves. They should be absolutely ashamed of themselves for how they came about to make this decision. NeoGAF does not represent the majority of gamers, period. They do not represent even a minority of gamers. This is an extremist website of gamers who are so far out there with how they believe, and you have administrators who are shutting down any form of actual discussion on these forums. This is the same forum who let a person who said that they wish that Total Biscuit's cancer would take him quicker, they are still letting him go. Yet Boogie gets banned. Please tell me, please inform me as to how that is correct. Why would you let somebody who wishes cancer on somebody to kill a person when you know he has cancer, when you know that he's really well respected, but you ban somebody who just asks for a little bit of calm, just asks for a little bit of moderate discussion without getting into vitriolacy? How do you let that happen? How does it happen? I tell you how it happens. When you have administrators who have every intention on having anarchy take control of these sort of discussions. And as long as that goes on, you're never, ever, ever going to have a moderate discussion. You're never going to see anything take shape in order to get us back together, to mend these wounds. Wounds that they feel like throwing salt on them is a good thing. This is not the right way, but apparently people think it is. And let me ask you a question. Do you want Donald Trump to be elected in 2020? Do you want Mike Pence to be elected in 2024 and 2028? Because that's what's going to happen if you allow this, if someone doesn't call this out, if someone does not, on the left or on the right, when you talk about people like the American Family Association, or God forbid, the Westboro Baptist Church, God forbid, every time they pick at a funeral, Fox News decides to give them a voice. Like, they don't understand that that's what they want. They want a voice, and they keep giving it to them for whatever reason. Even if you condemn them, that doesn't matter. The matter is that you give them a voice. That's all they need. Even if you're condemning them, you're still advertising them. They think any publicity is good publicity. But, like I said, you have extremists on both sides. You cannot pretend that there's no extremists on the left wing, because there are. Just take it from NeoGAF. They exist. But if no one calls this out, then you're not going to get anywhere, and you're going to have the same thing that happened before. You're going to have the exact same thing. And again, I'm going to say this again. For those people who think that me saying this does mean that I am not diverse, and I am not for things like gay and lesbian rights, or a women's right to choose, or whatever else you want to put onto me as a label, you are an idiot. I'll say that again. You are an absolute idiot for thinking anything like that if you're going to label me as anything like that, because you should know better. You should know my history. You should know everything. I shouldn't have to tell you. No one should have to tell you that. No one should have to tell you about these YouTubers who have been attacked lately. This is another case of what I'm talking about, and that they might want a war. They might want a war. These bloggers, people like NeoGAF, like Kotaku, like Polygon, who have not only take this out of context and have misrepresented what's actually going on, and have misrepresented what people like PewDiePie or Total Biscuit or anybody has ever said, they might be seeing that there's a war. They might saying, hey, we are ready to go after you, because they're seeing that their view counts, that their clicks are going down. People do not trust them anymore. And instead of them trying to clean up their act and be more trustworthy, they go after the people who are being more trustworthy than they ever will be. Now, I want to tell you something. It is not going to work. One, because YouTubers are going to fight back. They are not going to just let this go. And two, because people are going to see right past it. They're going to understand that it's not because, hey, these people are not diverse. It is because, hey, these people are more trustworthy and tell me more about what I really want to know than you guys are. We understand how you guys operate now. We understand how you guys are like. We are not stupid. We get the reasons why you're going after people like PewDiePie, like you're going after people like JonTron, like Total Biscuit, like Boogie. And why would you go after Boogie? He's one of the nicest people around. Why would you ever want to go after someone like that? I don't understand that. Boogie has said nothing but kind things to everybody. He's letting everybody have a voice, regardless of who it is. He has been the kindest person in this whole discussion. He's been the adult in the room in most of these situations. Why would you attack him of anybody before anybody? And no, people are not perfect. We do make mistakes. TB makes mistakes. Obviously, JonTron made mistakes. Obviously, I've made mistakes. Why are we held to them forever and ever and ever, even if we try to change our ways? Why are we held to those mistakes? Let us have a chance to rectify the situation. Let us have a chance to respond to a situation, let alone change who we are. Maybe if you had a discussion with JonTron, maybe he would be more likely in order to change his viewpoints in a way. Even if you think they are completely abhorrent, maybe Discourse is the way to go. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe instead of saying, oh, moderates mean that you are against diversity. Who's saying that? Who is saying that? Because I would love to meet that moderate who is not for diversity or for laws that promote that, or for policies that do promote those types of things. I've yet to meet that moderate, so please tell me where that person is, because I would love to meet him. I would love to. I would love to have a conversation with him. Perhaps the extremism is what got us to this point. It's what got Donald Trump elected. It's what is going to keep Donald Trump in the White House if you guys don't change now. And NeoGAF needs to not be the be-all, end-all as to how you judge how the majority of gamers think. Because if you went onto any other forum, if you had just asked JonTron, if you had just had a conversation with him, he's the guy who made the comments. He's the guy who had the comments to begin with. Why don't you ask him, Playtonic? Why don't you ask him what was going on? Because I bet you never did. Not once did you even go and discuss things with him before you made this decision. You depended on NeoGAF to make that decision for you, and then when people were saying, hey, we want to refund you, instead ban people from the Steam Forums, which is going to get very dangerous in a hurry. You saw what happened with No Man's Sky. You saw what happened with Hello Games. You saw what happened with Mighty Number 9. That's something that's not going to go away. We are not going to let it go away. People on Twitter who are saying to shut up about wanting a refund. Consumers have the right to ask for it, period. For you to think that is abhorrent on your own right. They have every right to ask for a refund, period. It doesn't matter what the reason is, as long as it goes within the rules that Steam has put on those types of things, you have every right to ask for a refund. And I encourage people to ask for a refund if they feel as if they have been jaded by this company, because that is anti-consumer. For somebody to mock somebody just because they ask for a refund, just because they are consumers that are jaded for whatever reason they are, that is showing that this is a company that does not deserve your money, that does not deserve to be rewarded with your hard-earned money. There are a lot of games that deserve your time a whole hell of a lot more than this company right now, that would more than welcome diversity of not only society and social issues, but also for opinions. And if you think that this is going to taper off anytime soon, gamers are really sick and tired of these companies mocking them and censoring their viewpoints when they ask what's going on with our game. Whether it's been bugs or glitches or their policies or their politics, it doesn't matter. If they want a refund, you have the obligation as a company who puts your product out there on Steam to honor that refund, as long as it's within the rules that a particular store has set for that particular store, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Doesn't care who said what. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Special Report. Thanks again for watching. If you liked what you heard, please hit that like button down below and subscribe for more geek gaming culture. Until next time, my name is JD Shadow, and that just happened.